All right, so I welcome you to this very exciting session given by Mr. Franz Ahmed. So I'll just, do you want me to say something about you? Yeah, I think I've already told who Mr. Franz Ahmed is. He's a local entrepreneur and he's done a lot of work for the university as well. So today he's going to talk about how he has established his very, popular business in Portsmouth to start with, and he's also exploring other avenues in other areas. So he's going to give you a talk about how he has utilized the marketing and extensive branding activities for his business and how he's established it, and how does he maintain his relationship with all stakeholder groups. So that's, I'll give the floor to him, so he will introduce himself again. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Hi, my name is Franz Ahmed, and as Mona Lisa said, I'm a local businessman and do a lot for the sort of Portsmouth community where I was born and brought up. Originally, my parents are from Bangladesh, so you'll see the links with Bangladesh. So my father founded the Akash restaurant, which is in Albert Road, Portsmouth. So that was our first business. I am actually an alumni, and I overtook the restaurant after I finished my degree. But I never discounted my degree, and I'll explain how my degree helped me through my journey, really. So also, I'm the founder of Cohort Spices. So we do our own spices, and we have tutorials how to make British Indian restaurant food at home, which is very popular. As you know, in the UK, it's the #1 dish. More curry is sold than fish and chips, so that's a good achievement, I think. Also, I'm a trustee of Pump in the Community, which is a charity that's affiliated with the football club. So Portsmouth Football Club's charity is Pump in the Community. Also director of Portsmouth Bangladeshi Business Association, entrepreneur in residence for the University of Portsmouth, also a global brand ambassador for the university. I think I recognise some of the students actually. They come in the restaurant, look quite, I've never seen you sober, I think. I didn't recognise you, you look all in shape. But I'll go on. Okay, so I did study photography at the Eldon building, and these were some of the clients I had. So Oki Printing Solutions is quite a big brand. I think they're huge in Japan. I did a lot for Lord March at Goodwood, and had clients like Ford. Also the university became a client of mine, Audi, Toyota. So I had quite a few clients, but I was a photographer. So I worked in the restaurant since I was about 14, through my school, college and uni days, but I did also work part-time as a photographer, and this really helped me, and you'll see how this helped me kind of take on where I am kind of today, really. So where I was a photographer, most of these clients, I worked for their marketing department, so I got to see how these global brands kind of marketed themselves and got ideas really through them. So this is some of the photography work I did while I was a photographer. So that's Cristiano Ronaldo. So Portsmouth Football Club was one of my clients. Sorry about the lack of the quality of the picture there. I think we screenshot that, so it didn't go well. So there's Lewis Hamilton as well. I think, do you guys know Lewis Hamilton? You probably should know. I think he's a famous F1 driver. So this is Zara Phillips, who's the Queen's granddaughter. So I work with quite a lot of big people. Davina McCall, I think most of you are international students. You know Davina McCall, she's quite a famous celebrity in the UK. Mr. Bean, so everyone probably should know Mr. Bean, I think. Akon, he was quite a famous rapper. I don't think he's too big at the moment. Clive Owen, Hollywood actor. Frankie Dettori. So I did a lot of racing stuff, and so at these kind of events I met sort of like the Dubai royal family, the King of Malaysia, so very much into the horse racing. So as you can see, he's got Fly Emirates there. Whenever a jockey has got Fly Emirates, he's racing for the sheikhs. They have their own company called Godolphin. So I got to network, and it is very, very important to network. So I always had the restaurant, but the photography was part-time, which gave me a slight income, but I wasn't really worried about the income because I had my own business. But what it did do is it got my foot in the door, and I got to meet these people, and business things we got to talk about, and we exchanged a lot of stuff. So this then later helped me. So at these big events, I met a lot of big journalists, huge journalists, and I always kept in contact, or always had like a database of all these journalists. And later on, you find out how they really helped me. So I'm just gonna. So this is the Toyota F1 team. Done quite a lot. Ferrari F1 team. Wayne Rooney, George Lucas. I didn't actually know who he was. Does anyone know George Lucas? He's a Star Wars director, I think. So he was really big, but I felt really like an idiot. So I was like, oh, I'm not sure who he is. Stephen Fry, he's quite thin. This was actually at the university quite a few years ago. Stephen Fry is quite a big national kind of celebrity. Okay, so then I basically decided from the photography, I kind of took a step back and I focused a lot more on the restaurants. So in Portsmouth, I identified 3 key markets. So wherever you own business, who are your biggest 3 clients? Who are your biggest clients? And you have to group them. So the university is obviously a really big player in the city. I think 30,000 students, plus the staff as well. The Royal Navy is quite big. There's 20,000 people, I believe, that work there. 10,000 cars going every day. Portsmouth Football Club, they have a stadium that holds about 20,000 people, but there's more fans. So I was quite lucky. Through my photography, obviously, I was working for the uni. I was an alumni. Portsmouth Football Club I was a photographer for them, so I had my foot in the door with them, which gave me opportunities to promote the restaurant. And you see how I did that. The Navy, we did get in there with the British Navy, so we used to deliver exclusively onto the ships. So you had a lot of international ships, British ships, and that was really good. Unfortunately, a few years ago, the security really tightened, and we were unable to. We could get in there, but they made it a lot harder for us and for all the other people. But the Navy is a bit more difficult because of the security. You can't just go in there. They don't want advertisers in there. So I stuck with a lot of it was friendship. So the base commander and the commodores and people like that we got to know, and then they kind of helped us a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we still do bits with the Navy, and we used to get orders, but not as much as before. But I'll go back, most of it is friendship. I made friends with a lot of these people, a lot of people at university, the players of the football club, and they all really helped, the business. So we then done sponsorships with some big players. So this is on I think your left, Glenn Johnson. So he was a really big player. He played for Liverpool. He played for Portsmouth Football Club. Then he went on to Liverpool for quite a few million. Can't remember how much. I think 20 odd million or something he went for. And then we stuck a good friendship with him. So just to put it in perspective, Adidas paid him, I think 4 or 5 million to wear Adidas boots. And I went through the club and I paid very little. I think it was about £1,000 some pounds. And then in the end, when he did go to Liverpool, I stuck with the friendship, and he said, you can still use my name, you don't have to pay me anything. So things like that were done on friendship, and it gave us very, very big, more brand awareness, and people would talk about us more, saying, they're sponsoring this player, that player. How is a small business affording to pay a multi-millionaire footballer, international footballer. He played for England. So yeah, things like that you can always do by getting yourself in there really. And then we start sponsoring like local hockey teams, and very important to keep with the community and do as much as you can really. So these are some other football club players that I sponsored. Peter Crouch, Liverpool, England player, David James, Jermaine Defoe, all England players while they were at Portsmouth. So like I said, a lot of it was done through the club. I couldn't afford to pay these guys, what their boot sponsors were paying, or what Nike or Adidas or anyone like that were paying these guys. Okay, so I then really concentrated after my photography. I sort of built my contacts, and there was a bit of a chefing crisis for Indian restaurants. So I think something like 4 Indian restaurants a week are closing. The Home Office tightened the rules quite a lot on international staff. So I had to literally go in there and learn. I knew bits about cooking, but I literally had to learn. And I think what's quite important is, especially if you're a small business, is that all aspects of the business. So, obviously I can cook now, I can do front of house, I can deliver, I do the marketing. It's how successful you want your business. And, you're going to get times when you're stuck. And this was one of the times we got really stuck. The chefing crisis happened, we couldn't fulfill the vacancies for chefs. So literally I had to go in there, and it worked in my favour a little bit, learning how to cook curry really. So yeah, one advice I'd really give is know your business, know every area of it, or as much as you can, especially if it's a small business. We are just one restaurant, we haven't got chains of restaurants or anything like that. Okay, so going back now, so when I did do the photography and stuff, I then knew a lot of journalists, especially a lot of local journalists. So we start getting a lot of free publicity. And one thing I can really say is that journalists are your best friends in business. They can get you so much publicity. It's unbelievable. So, strike up that friendship with them, and send them articles that stories that are half interesting really, and you'll get coverage. So this was us in the Daily Mail. So I was in the restaurant one day, and this guy decided that he's going to order a big takeaway, and he's going to take it back to France with him, and he's going to freeze it and eat it on Christmas dinner, because traditionally they have a curry on Christmas dinner. So I thought, while he was saying this story to me, I thought this is really, really interesting. An English guy, he's travelled from France, he's bought like £100 takeaway or something, he's going to freeze it and he's going to have it on Christmas Day. So then I managed to get it in the Daily Mail, which is national coverage. So for us as a business, local coverage is better for us to monetize when people come in. Nationally is a bit more like, I've got my name out nationally, and it's difficult to monetize if you're a local business, but I'll explain how I'm trying to monetize our now national and international kind of coverage. So we did a lot with the football club. So as I mentioned, I worked there, so we had the FA Cup in the restaurant, we did a charity night, and still our relationship is very solid with the university and with the football club. It still is with the Royal Navy, bit harder, like I said. A lot of the Navy personnel, they change. So the Commodores are only in there for about a couple of years, and they move on, and it's very difficult. Once you've built that relationship, they've then moved on. So, but yeah, we're still quite solid with the other two key markets. So, after sort of kind of working in the restaurant, what inspired me about that story, I thought I want to fly a curry to France. So 80 curries. I had a friend in France, and the French don't like their food hot. So, my friend, this guy here, he would say, I'm just fed up. I'll go into a curry house in France and I'll say, make it really hot, blow my head off. And they just disappoint me every time. So he was in the aviation industry. And I said, look, I've got an idea. If you can get, the plane at a reasonable price for me, I can fly 80 curries to France. So he said, that's a really good idea. Now, it took 2 years of planning to do it because the logistics were obviously really complex, but we managed to do it. And then so I had all these journalists that I made, all the friends, and I sent them a press release. So what you do to get stories, to give them a bigger chance of them going into the paper, you would do a press release, which is in essence the story you're writing for them, and pictures and videos, and then you send it by email. And what happens is you've made the journalist's life a lot easier, and you've got a bigger chance of them covering the story. So unless it's a really huge story, it's going to be harder for you to kind of get covered. So once you've done that, all the journalists do is they copy and paste your work, and then they use your pictures. So they're just sat at their desk. It's taken them probably minutes to get your story live. Whereas if they had to send a journalist out, send a photographer out, it's taking them more time, it's costing them more money, more time. So I have a lot of students, I am a small business, but I have a lot of students that write our press release. I think Miles is just there, he's a student at the moment, he's working part-time for me. So he's had a lot of work published, lots of work published. We have photographers, videographers that are students. So I work with departments at the university and I say, no, I've got some work experience. Because, like I said, we are still one restaurant. So, for us to try and pay for a photographer, pay for someone to write the press release, we're talking hundreds, which we cannot afford. So there's a lot of scope there, if you do have a university kind of town, students are always looking for work experience. I had, I think, 10 students at one stage. Now a lot of them do actually work for me. They work, I can't give them the marketing, but they work as a waiter or a waitress or however. So they've kind of got first refusal at vacancies we have, paid vacancies. So it kind of works like that. And I've introduced them a lot to a lot of people. So sort of like the BBC, and I've got their work published, their portfolio's grown. So I've done quite a lot, and I'll always give time to students that give me time. That's one of my things. I'd always do as much as I can. So what I do, this story, we sent it with pictures, etc., and it blew up. It went really, really big. It went international. I think India covered it, Poland covered it, Italy covered it. Pretty much every big national media outlet in the UK covered it. BBC, it was all over BBC, everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the clip, the BBC clip, which was watched by millions of people, and then that will give you an idea of what we actually did. So once you get into the BBC, they're such a big organisation, from local to kind of really big, like sort of the One Show and international. So BBC World News did actually cover it as well. So if you can get a little bit in there, they look for stories within their own organisation. So once you get anything in local, so even when you hit the local papers, the international and the national papers, they look for stories in the small papers, and then they say, right, this is a good story, we're going to blow it up. So this is kind of the thing that happened. Although BBC, the journalist that covered it, I knew him and I sent it to him. But then the other coverage we got were through the local media. So if the story's big and interesting enough, once it hit the local news, it can get picked up and then go on to bigger things. So this was, as you see, this is my brother. We're both alumni. He's just finished his master's. He came back to university after a few years. He's done his degrees. This was the guy who took it. So, you know, like you saw, the BBC said it was like a 10 or 15,000 pound project. I still can't afford that. So I'll tell you how we've done it, through partners and through knowing James, getting the plane cheap. So yeah, this was some of the people that covered it. Sky News, Metro, like I said, all the big kind of media organisations covered it, and this really opened doors for us. And to this day, I think it's been about 3 or 4 years we've done it. The opportunities still arise, and people look at us a little bit different. They're not just an Indian restaurant. They are bigger. They are like more ambitious. They don't just serve curry rice. They do have this kind of media platform. So a lot of people, we kind of work in partnership. So like festivals now, we built our social media through the years. This kind of content helped build our audience. So festivals, like local festivals, will come to us and say, right, can you promote our festival? We will give you a stall for free, this and that. So you could do a lot of deals. Otherwise, if we didn't have that power, we'd have to go into these festivals, pay £500-600 for a stall, maybe, this and that. So there's a lot of things. We've almost become like a small local kind of marketing agency, I think is what you can kind of say. So a lot of people come to us and they say, can you promote our events on your platform and stuff like that? So you could really negotiate, with other people, other businesses, etc. So I've explained like how with the media contacts, I got the story going, but a lot of it was kind of friendship and teamwork. We went through 3 pilots because obviously James was getting the pilots for cheap, but in the end he got it free for us. The plane should have cost £10,000, which is probably my marketing budget for the whole year. So I managed to get it at sort of 10% of that price. It cost £10,000. It should have cost £10,000 to fly there. I flew back with EasyJet for £32. So, there's a kind of like a massive difference there, really. So how did we do it for £32 per head? So we had some sponsors, some local sponsors. So Uber was supposed to sponsor at first, Uber and Kingfisher. They pulled out at the last minute, a few weeks before. I never had any contracts, so that was a mistake on my part. I've never kind of done big things like this before, so I just kind of took their word and took their email and didn't think, they would kind of do that. And then another big company pulled out as well. So I was kind of frantic thinking, right, I've got to kind of pay for this all kind of on my own. And then, like I said, friendship really, I rang, a couple of local businesses that are friends of mine said, that, can you help me out a little bit here, blah, blah, blah. And then they got international coverage, and then I got emails from Uber and people like that saying, right, when you do something like this again, go through another department and stuff. So, but like I said, now people will take us seriously. When we do an event, and Uber would actually, think about it, right, they've got the now capacity to make stories go big or give us big publicity, so we're going to take them a little bit more seriously. So it's that whole thing that I said, like, they look at us a bit more than just a local company. We still are a small business, I'm not trying to say we're a massive chain or a multi-million pound business, far from it. We are not that big business, but we do have big ambitions. We have a lot of good contacts, a lot of good friendships, which has helped us really to be where, to get a story like this out there, really. So we managed to get the aircraft for very cheap, and we managed to, we charged the customers £32 per head, which helped. And in the end, it didn't actually cost us, apart from time and effort, it didn't cost us a lot with the sponsors. So, if you do have a small business, etc., you could do something like this very easily. It's a bit harder work if you haven't got the money. Probably take you a little bit longer, but you can see the benefits we got in the end. Okay, so now we have strategic partners. So after we flew the curry, people looked at us different. They start taking us a lot more seriously. They start, saying, how can we work with you, la la la. So we work with KSM, a telecoms company. So they do all our telecoms, which has saved us a lot of money. you know, the restaurant. The university, we have so many dealings with the university. I'll probably be here till 5 o'clock in the morning explaining all our dealings with the university. So it works really good for them, it works really good for us as well. You know, in terms of recruitment, we recruit, and I mentioned before, the work experience students, paid students as well. You know, we have a lot of international students who work for us. Laundry company who have become sponsors. So some of these are sponsors now, and they pay us, and I've put their money aside to do bigger marketing projects. You know, there's not a lot of money. You know, we're not talking, you know, tens of thousands of pounds. But what it is with their money, and then we put a little bit in ourselves with our budget and our contacts. You know, we can do a big project. And that's the whole kind of aim. I've missed a few logos here. We work with a law firm as well. We work with a few other businesses. But these are just a few. So the point I'm trying to get across is we are an Indian restaurant. You know, we serve food. But that's not to say we cannot work with law firms, universities, laundry companies who you wouldn't normally associate. So they've become partners, and a lot of them aren't, you know, they're not paying us because money is quite hard to extract. So people, you know, if you say to them, right, you know, pay us to do that, people don't want to really do that. You know, when people come to us, like, we don't spend a lot now on advertising because, you know, we have our own sort of resources. We have our own people doing it, so we don't want to pay out extra. But what we can do is we can then go to the telecoms company and say, take care of our internet, take care of our all our phone lines and all our communications, which is costing us thousands a year, and then in exchange we would do X, Y, Z for you. And they're more happy to do that because it's costing them less and it's costing me less. It's saving me money. So, like with the university, we have kind of, you know, I do quite a lot. So the entrepreneur in residence role, that's an unpaid role. But what it does is I can give back to students. You know, it's really good. You know, and we have we can recruit students. We can do a lot of stuff. You know, and it's good to do always community stuff because if you look after the community, I always say, they will look after you as well. So I think 2 weeks ago, we done an order for the university, 250 chicken biryanis, I think. So yeah, so that was quite a big order, and we catered for them. And it was not like a contractual kind of agreement, right? I'll become an entrepreneur in residence, or I'll do some lectures, but you have to put an order. They automatically put that order in because they saw that, you know, that I'm helping the uni and I'm doing all this kind of stuff. So, like I said, in circles it will come back to you. Okay, so after the Curry Bar Awards, we became a bit more nationally known. We became more industry leaders. So we started getting nominated for a lot of awards, and we started winning quite a lot of awards. And then one thing I found out about is awards actually give you such good publicity. It doesn't matter what award it is, whether it's a small, big one, but people just absolutely love it. It's great content for social media. So you guys, I mean, anybody that's got a business, they can do it. You can enter an award and you can be nominated. Even if you put, I've been nominated for an award, it wows people and it gives you that bit more credibility. So, you know, I wish I found out about it earlier, but it can do. But people start taking us seriously. We start entering more awards because we saw the marketing it gave us. And a lot of people were like, oh, they're the guy. You know, I went to an awards, when was it? About a few weeks ago in London. Quite prestigious award, you know, it's in Mayfair. They had celebrities like the ex-England manager, football manager, and the Mayor of London was there. And still to this day, after 3 or 4 years, they're like, oh, it's that guy that flew the curry. You know, so that one thing really kind of put us on the map, I think, really. As another award, this was a local award done by the local paper. Okay, so then after the book Curry Bar, the Bangladeshi embassy got a bit more in touch with me. So he's a British-born Bangladeshi. We wanted him to kind of do a bit more promoting the country. You know, he's got that ability to promote Bangladesh a bit more. I think there's a few Bangladeshi people here, isn't there? Yeah, if you put your hands up, there's quite a few. One, oh my word, there is a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's quite a few. So you'll probably enjoy this bit now. So I work quite a lot with the embassy. Unfortunately, I can't read or write Bengali. I can talk a bit. Silati, I think I'm Silati, I don't know, you're Silati as well, yeah, so I'm Silati, but I can't speak Shuddha Bhasha. So Shuddha Bhasha is from Dhaka. So when I went and I met with some of the ministers and stuff there, they had to talk in English with me, which was a bit shameful because I couldn't speak. It's a different dialect, the capital. So this is the Civil Aviation and Tourism Minister. I don't know if you know him, his name's Mahbub Ali, so Honourable Minister. So he controls the tourism and he controls the airlines. So Biman Airlines, Bangladesh National Airlines is under his work. So I became quite good friends with him. And so they invited me to go to Bangladesh. You know, I was very lucky. And they took me to 14 districts. I've got it on my phone actually, which is there. So all the, you know, I was really lucky, all the big states, so you had Sundarban, which is the largest mangrove forest in the world. You've got Cox's Bazar, which is the world's longest unbroken beach. So there's a lot, it's such a hidden gem, Bangladesh. You know, I hadn't been back for 22 years, I'm not sure why really. But so I went back and I was very lucky. And I said, I will help. So I spoke to the Honourable Minister and I said, I'll help promote Bangladesh. So they paid for all my expense. I was very lucky. And then I went to Sylhet for 3 days and I visited family. I still have family there. So like I said, this opportunity arose because of the publicity we were getting. And it helped me as well with a lot of content, helped me with the university. I became a global brand ambassador for the university and I especially helped them build bigger relationships with Bangladesh. So the global team now, I think, I can't take all the credit, but the global team now, they've gone from, I think, 30 Bangladeshi students in the last few years. They're now on, I think, 700 to 1,000 students. So it's really helped. So I'll just quickly play a video of my time in Bangladesh. Okay, so as you can see there, I promoted the country quite a lot, and I'm still advising the ministry on what they can do. So, you know, it worked really well. You know, I went out there and I got all this content. BBC had given me interviews, and I could talk about the country a bit more. So, it worked really well for both kind of parties. But going back, students helped me quite a lot. So that filming, apart from what was in Bangladesh, the BBC studio, I took a lot of students in there, so they networked with the BBC guys, they filmed the thing for me, and a lot of the co-bias as well was done by students as well. So I think the point I'm trying to make across is get yourself out there, you know, show that you're available, you can do things, you can always help, you know, there's a lot to do. When I was a student, I did a lot of work experience with photographers for no money, but then that's how I got into Goodwood and how I got into lots of places, how I knew journalists. So later on in life, that would then, you know, it might not pay immediately, but it will definitely pay later. So as you saw from the Bangladeshi clip, I travelled with international journalists, and this really helped me. So this is Korea. They've done an article, I think this was half of it. I think got cut off there. South Korea, I've been published a couple of times. The Diplomat magazine is a Dutch magazine. The left one is, I think, is a Chinese business magazine. That's international. So we start getting a lot of international coverage, which is really helping us now build our brand, you know, national, international. You know, we're getting all this, you know, I've not paid for any of this, you know, advertising. So it's really starting to get our names out there. And we can put it on our social media. I mean, like, look at us, we're getting published in China, in Korea, in Holland. You know, it doesn't matter how we got there, we are there. You know, all these are friends that are doing me favours, but we're getting there, you know, and it gives that wow kind of factor to people and think, right, okay, you know, these guys are international, getting covered internationally. So I'm going to go off a little bit and talk about social media. Obviously, social media is big, you know, guys. I know you guys are all kind of on social media. And, you know, my father always said to me, you're very lucky living in a digital age, because when they had to advertise, it took so much longer. It was so much more expensive as well. So, you know, he'd have to pay the paper and then they'd have to get it in. And now things, you know, if it's good enough, you can make it viral. Like the curry by air, it went viral online. So, you know, we're very lucky. And you don't have to pay. You know, I know there's aspects of it you can pay for, but if you work hard enough, you know, we don't really pay for a lot of paid ads or anything like that. We kind of have our audience and we kind of grow our stuff like that. There's a lot of way you can grow. You know, we have a lot of accounts. We have, you know, forums. So we have the Art of British Curry, which is a Facebook group all about people cooking. So, you know, there's people cooking on there, and that is building, I think we're about 6,500 people. So they share their cooking, but we're still talking about, you know, our sector, British Indian restaurant cooking, and, you know, finding our market there. Okay, so we then drove a curry to Italy. So in the car, our curry went to Italy, so which was quite a lot of it. It wasn't as big as the first curry by air, but it still got us quite a lot of publicity, and it gave us that name again. Look, our curry travelled 1,000 miles, you know, to Italy. It's given us that kind of thing. We can do this, you know. I think I famously remember, I think one of the, I think is it Volkswagen or somebody, they own Bugatti. Now Bugatti is the world's most expensive car. They cost like millions of pounds. To make it, they operate on a loss. They sell it for X amount, which doesn't even cover the cost. But what they're saying is, we are Volkswagen, or whoever makes it, I might be wrong, we are Volkswagen, we can do this, we can make the most expensive car, and the publicity they get from it. Look, Volkswagen have produced Bugatti, which is the biggest, you know, most expensive car in the world, does X, Y, Z, but they don't actually make any money from it. So I'm just going to play you another clip of when we went to Italy.
You fancy curry? What do you want?
So I'll just pause it. So now we've kind of advertising the brand of Curry by Air, because that got so much coverage. We've then developed it into spices. So we're trying to hit that national and international market. So you can see now how our market is shifting from local to now national and international. Okay, so you can see now how we're shifting our market now. We're really working hard now to build our national and international audience, which is a still work in progress as well. I did actually bring the Minister to Portsmouth, and as my role as Global Brand Ambassador, I did bring him to the university where he met the Vice-Chancellor. So again, trying to build that strong relationship between the global team and Bangladesh. So what next? So this is what we're up to this point now. We're still trying to crack that national and international market. We're doing a lot of cooking videos on YouTube, which is really helping, you know, bring our audience. So our spices have now gone to Holland, Germany, a lot of national. We're focusing on national more than international. So I want to try and crack that national market till I go international. We've got a cooking book coming out. So a lot of the stuff I told you about, like the curry by air, it's going to feature stuff like that out. And then I've got a documentary on Bangladesh, so my time there, that should be coming out. And hopefully I've got ideas at the back of my head about doing more bigger kind of PR projects. So because of COVID, things have slowed down. It's probably not the right time. Plus, I want to finish these two projects off, the documentary and the book, before I move on to anything else, and then I'll be free to kind of be like, right, I'm going to do, you know, a PR thing. But I've got quite a few ideas in my head, but I've just said to myself, slow down, let's get this and that done, and then we can look at other things. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. I think I've just finished just on time. I think it's like 5 to 11. So yeah, that's my journey so far. I think. I hope you enjoyed that, and a big thanks for Mona Lisa for having me today, and the university. As you know, as you can see, they support us hugely. So yeah, I think I'm finished there, and that's the end.
Thank you, Franz. Thank you very much. Now, does anybody? Yeah, let's give you a round of applause.
Thank you very much.